Hello, good evening. It's Monica from Life is Art and Scrap. It's almost Monday. Let's create. We are going to be having some fun with the Good Life collection today, and we're going to be creating a single page layout, but I think this one could easily translate into a double page layout. Still a little bit coffee and snuffly, but hopefully that will subside while we're on here live. And so we've been using the Good Life all through the month of September because this is the featured collection for the month, and it's featured here on the front of the September-October catalog. And it starts on page number 4. A beautiful collection, very country inspired, very tends towards masculine. I love the color combinations of the blues and the browns. And so we're going to be using it today. We're going to be using the paper pack, the sticker sheet, some coordinating cardstock. We're going to be throwing in a few other things. And one of the things that we're adding to this is from our Essentials catalog, and it's one of our specialty papers. Right here, we're going to add in some Irresistibles. And I actually taught a class at Close to My Heart convention this year. Ooh, it was very nerve-wracking, scary teaching a class, but my topic was the Irresistibles. So we're going to throw in some Irresistibles and show you those. And yeah, we're going to have some fun creating a layout. If you're joining me live, just say hello or howdy so I know you're here. And if you're watching later on replay, you can just say replay. I see Carol is watching. Hello, Carol. Good evening. And we are going to start off, maybe we'll start off with the inky stuff first. So we're going to pull out our all-purpose mat. Just going to unroll that there and stick it on right over top of the Versamat. For this particular layout, I'm going to be using strips of paper. You know I love using up all the little bits in a collection. And the first strip that we're going to take a look at is the Leaf Irresistibles. Now, it's awfully hard to see the pattern. It's only when you catch it in the light that you can see the UV reflection there, but the magic comes when you are doing your inking. Now, I'm not getting this tissue out because I need to blow my nose. That's beside the point. We're going to be doing some ink blending. I've got my blue brush and I've got my mist ink. And it's good to have a tissue or a soft cloth on hand for this particular method and using this particular paper. So what we're going to do is we're going to get some ink on our blending brush, and then we're going to come in and add some color to our Irresistibles. And the mist is one of those ones that goes on light and then it gets darker as you go along. I'm actually going to use the tissue to hold the paper here because I really need to kind of narrow in on it, focus in on it, and not have to worry about getting ink on my fingers. So this strip is 6 inches long by 1 inch wide. And as I add the ink here with the brush, you are going to see the pattern reveal. And this is the leaf pattern. So then once you've got some ink on there, you just take your soft cloth or your tissue and you just lightly buff over top of those white UV coated areas, and that reveals the beautiful shiny pattern. So we're going to keep adding ink to this piece. If you're somebody who tends to be heavy-handed with inking, the blending brushes definitely help with that. And this particular color, mist, it goes on like a mist, right? You can go super subtle and then you can just build up the color from there. It's kind of like when you're using pencil crayons to add color to something. You start light and work your way up. And so that is a good one to use if you tend to be heavy-handed. So we're just going to go ahead and add that beautiful mist color on here. This is one of the coordinating colors with the Good Life collection, just making sure we kind of get an all-over sense of that color. Give it a brush, and you can see the excess ink that's sitting on those UV areas is being gathered up by the tissue. And you just give it a little buff and make it all shiny. I'm trying not to go too hard because you see what happens. I grab it, and then, because it's a skinny little piece, it wants to bend. But there, that's what it looks like once you have the ink on there, but it's still got that lovely shine where the irresistible part is. Now, this is a leaf pattern. We're also going to bring in let me just grab it, this one here, and it is also 1 inch wide by 6 inches long, and it's a plaid pattern. I don't know if you're going to even be able to see that in the light, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to switch colors, set those aside, and we're going to bring in Mocha for this next pattern. Hey, Kimberly, good evening. I hope you enjoy your dinner. Yum, yum. Yeah, we're going to have dinner after the video. Thank goodness for replay. So we're going to take the Mocha ink, and let me just switch sides here so we're not putting blue down where I want them brown. And, oops, that's going to bend. And we're going to add some lovely Mocha color to our Irresistibles cardstock. And yes, it is cardstock weight, so it can take lots of ink. And Mocha goes on a lot stronger than the mist, but that actually works for what we want to do here. So the interesting thing about the Irresistibles is that it allows you to create your own pattern papers, much like random stamping with a stamp set, but it gives you more options of patterns in a color family. So if you think, oh, I would just like something that's brown with a subtle pattern, you can go ahead and add some Mocha onto your Irresistibles, and then it will match your project, and it's kind of like custom coloring your paper. But you could also make just about any color, because it just depends on what ink you use with it. So there we go. Adding that. And then again, we're going to give it a little buff. Take off any of the excess ink from all those UV areas. Just like that. And there we go. We have our lovely rustic plaid in the Mocha color, with that shiny little bit still showing through. Okay, let's move this out of the way. And we can also get rid of our all-purpose mat. Let's give it a quick wipe. Get rid of any excess ink that's on there, just using the stamp chamois. And then the best way to store this is to roll it out and store it like that so that it doesn't get any creases. Okay. Now, to get on with our layout, we're going to start this evening with a base of toffee cardstock, which is a gorgeous color and is one of the coordinating colors with this collection. I've just got a little tiny bit of adhesive in the center, so I can line it up on my Versamat and have it stay put while we're creating, because I'm going to be adding a bunch of strips, and I want them to line up nicely. Okay, we're also going to be using some of the zip strips from this collection. So I'm going to start off with this one, which is a little bit of a fence, which is a fun motif from this Good Life collection. So this is a zip strip, which means it's a 1/2 inch wide, or 1/2 inch in height, and then I've cut a 6-inch piece of it. Just take the backing off, And I'm going to stick it right in the bottom left-hand corner, lining it up right against the bottom of my page. So it's covering half of the width of the page and just a little 1/2 inch strip down there. Okay, now the next thing that we're going to bring in is a piece of this Mocha dot. And this Mocha dot is 1.25 inches, an 1.5 inches by 6 inches. So all of these will be 6 inches. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere this one, but it's going way up at the top, on the top left. Now, if this particular layout starts looking familiar to you, then just hang tight, because I will tell you where I got the idea for this page from at the end of the video. Don't let me forget. So if we get to the end and you haven't heard where it was from, just say, hey, you didn't tell us. Okay, now I want to bring in a bunch of pattern papers and zip strips and Irresistibles, and we're going to fill in the space from top to bottom, leaving little gaps in between. But in order to make it look even, I've got my top and my bottom adhered, and these other ones, I'm just going to bring them in and set them there until I've got my spacing correct. So this is the pattern paper that has the ledger lines on it and some sketchy drawings on it. It's the back side of the mist wood grain. This one is 1 inch, and I'm just going to set it here like so. I'm leaving a little gap in between. Then I've got the back side of this, which is the mist wood grain, and this one is a 2 inch by 6 inch piece. Again, just placing it there with a little bit of a gap. I love how that little bit of the toffee peeks through. Then I've got a 6 inch piece of this mist grid distressed zip strip. I love the little touches of distressing that is in all these pattern papers. Then I'm bringing in the mist Irresistibles with that leaf design that we inked up right at the beginning, and adding that on. And hopefully you'll see that there's a little bit of method to my madness here. The next piece is this Harbor Plaid, and it is a 2 inch piece as well. Same as the wood grain down there. And then I'm bringing in this Mocha Distress sort of painted swash wood. And it's the back side of the Mocha. And this one was a 1 inch strip. 1 inch by 6 inch. There we go. And then we have our plaid Irresistibles, which are again a 6 by 1, I guess. We always usually do the width first and then the height. So 6 by 1. And then the last piece we're bringing in is this pattern paper, which is that sort of corrugated tin siding looking paper. It's the back of the dot. So you can see that we have used all of the patterns from this collection on here. And I'm just going to adjust the spacing a little bit because there's a little bit of a wider gap up here. So everything is going to get a little shuffle because we want to create about as even as a gap all the way down as we can. And there we go. I think that's looking pretty good. Okay, so now we can go ahead and start adhering those down. I'm going to start with the part that's closest to me because that will be the easiest one to do. Hey Heather, nice to see you're watching. This is a fun pattern to use if you have lots of little strippy bits left from a collection, or the mix-ins, or in this case some Irresistibles added in there. You could add cardstock with stamping, you could add glitter paper, you could add shimmer trim to replace the 1/2 inch strips. All sorts of fun things could be added in here. Hey Deborah, how's it going? So we're coming in and just going to adhere all of these down. Now I didn't do my adhesive ahead of time, so it's going to just take a minute to get it all on there, and I want to keep it as straight as I can. Hopefully not wander too much. That's the good thing about kind of setting it down ahead of time. Then you have a better idea of placement and spacing and keeping everything in line. And hopefully we don't wander too much. There we go. I know some people have a tendency to cut the zip strips off of their papers and then end up with a whole collection of zip strips from various paper collections, which is kind of fun. But then they tend not to use them because they don't know what to do with them. So this is another layout where if you don't want to have a variety of sizes going down the edge, then you could just use a whole lot of zip strips for this, which would be super fun. Hey, Deborah, the base color that I'm using on here is the Toffee, which is one of the coordinating cardstocks. I like Toffee. It's a happy color. The new Acorn is very similar, but has a bit more of a green base to it. And, but it's lovely as well. So we're just going to keep going. This is one of the 2-inch. So that's the other thing, is that you don't have to be too particular with your sizes as long as they add up to less than 12 inches and you have enough space to leave some gaps. And if you don't want to leave gaps, you don't have to. You could totally fill it all in, but I think that little bit of toffee showing through is kind of nice. It breaks up all the colors and patterns and keeps something consistent throughout, if that makes sense. So we're just going to go ahead and keep adding these on all the way up. We're also going to be doing some drawing, some doodling on this base page. So that's our next step. Don't let me forget, because I've already almost forgot. Just reminded myself when I looked up and saw my pen sitting there. Oh, right, I was going to do... You can tell which ones are the ones we inked, because as you move your cardstock around on the all-purpose mat, it picks up ink on the back from the ink that gets on the edges of the, or around the edges of the cardstock as you're inking. The Irresistibles. And there we go. The farther I get away from my face, the harder it is for me to line things up. And the next one. So lots of fun strips, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5, and 2 inch. I think there's only one that's 1.5. But whatever works to fill in your space. And if you take a look here, you will notice that we went from very light through to getting darker and darker with the mist, and then we hit the harbor, and then we went light brown, and then we're getting darker and darker with the brown. So there was kind of a gradient effect that I was going for here, and you will understand where that comes from when I show you where it came from, because I am going to show you at the end where I got the inspiration for this layout. Now I want to do a bit of a hand-drawn border, so I'm going to have to lift my adhesive up. And I'm going to actually do a double drawn border. So I'm just going to start there and work my way over. I like to turn my page when I'm doing this kind of thing. And I keep my wrist straight and use my elbow and my shoulder as the thing that moves in order to get the line. And there we go. All the way around. And then we're going to do that again. So swivel it around again. Start here. And I'm going to keep these two lines pretty close together. They can even touch at some points because, you know, nothing's ever even when you're drawing by hand. when I was a kid, I used to watch Simon in the Land of Chalk Drawings. And he said drawing. It must be a New England thing, because my grandpa also used to watch the New Yankee Workshop with Norm Abrams, and he always said drawings. So it's definitely something from that area of the States, New England. All right, there we go. And we're going to come back to this again. So keep that. And that was just using a black gel pen. You could use your journal pen for that, anything like that. And I'm just checking to make sure we're still, I'm going to lift this up just a smidge. Make sure we're still all in the camera. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to give a border along these strips to kind of make them look almost like they were their own pattern paper to begin with, and not just a bunch of strips. So I have a 1/4 inch strip of Mocha glitter paper. Now the Mocha glitter paper has actually retired. However, I really love the Mocha glitter paper, so I have some on hand. And that's the thing, you know what, you use what you have, you look in your stash, you find the things that you love, and you use them. And then when they're gone, they're sadly gone. But until they're gone, you can use them. So, just going to apply some glue, and I'm going to apply my glue directly to my base page, because I find that that is easier than trying to put it on a skinny strip of glitter paper, which is then going to flop everywhere and, you know, may or may not line up. And the other thing that this does is it evens up all of those little edges. So if I line it up all the way down and just kind of cover the edges of my paper, it just cleans everything up. If something was cut a little shy or a little long, it just covers it all. And it adds a nice little bit of glitter. Now, not a lot of that glitter will actually be showing, but it's the effect that we're going for. Okay, so now I want to bring in some pieces of paper to create a base for my photos. And I'm going to be putting 3 photos onto this layout. So I have a piece of the Harbor cardstock, and this is the true color side here, and this has been cut to 7.5 by 9.5, and we're going to line it up on our page about 2 3/4 inches in from the left edge. So let me just go ahead and add some adhesive. Ooh, my adhesive is just about finished. I'm going to have to grab another roll. And for this, I'm only going to put adhesive right on the very edge. Let me just grab another roll. It'll be all crinkle here for a second as I get one out. I knew that was getting low, but I thought I'd have enough to finish the layout. There we go. Crinkle. Lots of ASMR. Like I said, I'm only going to be applying the adhesive to the edges, but this particular edge, I'm actually going to have to hold off for a second. No, I'll put the adhesive on, but then we're going to do something else before I stick it down. Okay, so I've got my my piece here like this, and what I will do actually, this is an interesting little trick. I'm going to take the adhesive from the bottom of this side, and I'm just going to make a little tag. See that? Just making a little tag, folding it out at a 45-degree angle. I'm going to take the adhesive off on this side, like so. And I might even use my ruler, because I want to make sure I get this straight-ish. So the side with the tab is going to go on the right. I'm going to go to 2 3/4. Like so. 2 3/4. And I'm going to line my paper up against it, centering it pretty much center from top to bottom, and just stick down that side. Now this side, I want to leave it not stuck. So I'm not going to push down on the other side. I'm coming in with a second piece of Harbor cardstock, and this is 1.5 by 9.5. And I'm using it on the lighter side. So if I lay the two here, you can see the dark side of the Harbor, which is the true color side, and then the back side, which is the lighter color side. Okay? Hey, Joanne, nice to see you're watching. Yes, this collection has such gorgeous blues and browns. And if you're like me, you love the blues and the browns. Okay. We want to do some tearing, and I want to have the white edge of my torn paper showing. So I'm going to tear this little 1/2 inch bit over here towards myself, and that will leave about a 1.5 inch piece of the lighter side of Harbor with the white edge showing, because we have white core in the center of our paper. So we're just going to go ahead and tear this all the way down to the bottom. I'm not trying to tear it too roughly. I want to keep it fairly straight. And then I'm going to stick some adhesive on the back side of this, like so. So, remembering that we didn't stick down this side of our paper, but we left a little tab to help us out with this. So, we're going to remove our adhesive backing, and then I want to tuck this under this side, and have it fairly evenly from the edge, but I want a good piece of it sticking out, if that makes sense. That looks pretty straight. Yeah, it's there now. So it better be straight. Okay, but you remember, we didn't stick this down yet. We have this little tab. So the way that we're going to work this is we're just going to pull our little tab all the way up, and that sticks our piece down. So if you've ever tried to line something up, and you want to tuck something under, but you want the adhesive right on the edge, just do that trick where you put the adhesive down, make a little tab that hangs out, and then you can just pull the tab. Really helps when you're trying to line up things and you're not sure, how far to line it up. Okay, so then I want to come in with a piece of French vanilla, and that is one of the coordinating colors with this collection. The base of a lot of these patterns, especially this one, is French vanilla. I think this is French vanilla. This one tends to look a little whiter, but it is French vanilla. So this has been cut to 7 inches by 9 inches so that it fits right inside this section of our photo mat. We've still got this edge over here just for a nice decorative element, but we want to come in with our gel pen or our journaling pen, and this time we're going to make some stitches. Some faux stitching all the way around. I find that these pattern papers really lend themselves nicely to looking almost like quilting fabric, and I think the country feel helps with that. So we're just going to go around the edge and do our best to make some even line of stitching all the way around this entire 7 by 9 piece of French vanilla. So, all the way down. Yeah, Deborah's loving the colors too. Of course, blues and browns. You can't go wrong with blues and browns. Browns are such a nice neutral, and blues, blue is my favorite, so I'll never say no to blue. Sometimes when people ask me, should I do this or this? I say, the answer is always blue. If you want a different answer, you have to ask somebody whose favorite color isn't blue. But that's not true. I do give other advice sometimes. That's the joke, though. The answer is always blue. All right, working our way around. I lent my gel pens and markers to Julia. She was working on an art project. And I said, you can keep them for the weekend so that you can get your project done. And so today I went to ask her for either the marker or the gel pen so I could do this project. And I don't think this is actually my gel pen. It seems to be a smaller size, but that's okay. I think it's hers. We won't let her know until later. So, we're working our way around. It's the same company, but it just seems like a smaller nib or whatever, smaller roller. Okay, almost there. Who else likes to do their stitching this way? It's a lot faster than stitching by hand, that's for sure. Right, Carol? You can never go wrong with blue. Okay, let's add some adhesive on the back. Like so. Sorry, just turning away from the camera. Hopefully that wasn't too loud. I'm on my way to recovery, but it's taken a while. Everybody in the house has had their run-in with this, except for Joshua. Thank goodness one of us stayed safe, non-sick. All right, so we're just going to center that there. And now we get to bring in the photos. So the photos that I'm bringing in for this layout, I've got 3 photos. I could definitely use 4, but I'm going to use 3. And this was an evening where my family was making pierogies. So there's Joshua and Julia. We're making homemade pierogies for dinner. So we have our filling here, and they've been making lots of lovely little pierogies. Sean was in charge. He bought me a pasta attachment for my mixer. And so he was the person in charge of rolling out the dough. And then we got Justin here. He's forming a pierogi by hand. I do actually have a contraption now that kind of helps with that process. But this was a fun thing that we learned when we were stuck at home during COVID. We had fun making homemade pierogies. We all love pierogies, but my husband can't have any of the pierogies that have cheese in them. We used to be able to purchase onion pierogies that had no cheese in them, but nobody seems to carry them anymore. And so we had to get creative and come up with our own method of making pierogies so that we could still enjoy them as a family. Because you can't have the bacon either. And almost all the pierogies either have cheese or cheese and bacon. So, they are very delicious, I must say. We love our pierogies. Must be the Polish in me. But, yeah, everybody in the house likes them. What could go wrong? It's potatoes. And then, of course, some of us like it with sour cream on top. Obviously, hubby does not. But we definitely like the fried onions. We put onions in them and onions on top of them. And, yes, it's an onion extravaganza when we make pierogies. Okay, so we're just adding these photos. Oops. And I matted, these are 3x4 photos. And I matted them with some Mocha cardstock. I got everything slightly crooked there, but it is what it is. And I want to bring in from the sticker sheet this title here that says Home Sweet Home. And I thought, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that it will fit right in this space right here. And it does. Look at that. Just like that. Home Sweet Home. Pierogies are not particularly sweet, but we're going to use that anyway. And then I like this canister. Kind of looks like an old-fashioned flour canister, which of course you use lots of flour when making doughs and things. And then also I thought this little jug would be good. And we'll just add that on as a little embellishment up there. It's nice to decorate with stickers. It's so quick and easy. And then I want to do some journaling, but I want it to be hidden. So I've got this piece of French vanilla cardstock, and it has been cut to 2 3/4 by about 6 inches long. And I also want to bring in this sticker here that says "Made with Love." And I want to attach the two together. Now this sticker is a little bit longer, but that's okay. But I want to add some foam tape to it. And I've got a brand new roll of foam tape. Finally remembered to get foam tape when I put my order in. There we go. Now I'm just deciding we're going to use this wider width of foam tape if I can get it apart. This is always the trick. When you open the new foam tape, you get a smaller roll and a wider roll, but you gotta put a little finger power into getting them apart. And then we'll take off the little bit of tape there. That holds it all together. And I'm going to stick my foam tape on the back of this. And it's going to cover most of it because it's a good width for this sticker. We're going to go all the way down and then trim it off like that. And then the last little bit that's not covered with the tape, the foam, that's the word, I'm going to just go ahead and use my anti-static pouch to de-stickify the edge of that. I've got a brand new anti-static pouch too. So it's all nice and smooshy, full of the starchy powder, and de-stickify the edges of this. Now normally, if I was just sticking this down as a sticker with foam tape, I wouldn't have really worried about those edges because there's only a little bit of the edges showing. However, because I want to use this as a journaling spot, I want to make sure that that it's going to move. It's going to be a hidden journal. So I've got my journal spot here, and I'm going to line it up with the top edge of that foam tape and stick it down like so. And now I've got this Made with Love. I can put my recipe for the pierogies on here. I can write about how we, the story I told you about how we had to come up with a method for making pierogies. And then you wonder, where am I going to put this hidden journaling? And the answer is right here at the top. We're just going to slide it right in. And because we've got that foam tape on the top, it acts as the block. It stops it from going whoop, all the way down to the bottom. But because we put our adhesive only on the outside, we can tuck it anywhere along the top. But I want it over here. And it also kind of overlaps the sticker just a little smidge onto that area. So let me just lift this up now, and we can take off the adhesive on the back using our rub and remove eraser. If you've never used a rub and remove eraser, you don't know what you're missing. There we go. No longer sticky. It just basically rolls up the adhesive, but it also works on any kind of glue. Now, I also have a little bit of this glitter paper sticking out the bottom. We'll trim that off from the back as well. And there we go, our completed layout, starting out with those toffee background, all of those fun strips and patterns and zip strips, and the Irresistibles with the mink and the Mocha, giving us extra patterns in the colors that we want. Then adding in our glitter paper to create a nice little border on all those strips, some hand-drawn edge lines, some hand-drawn stitching, layering up. We've even got the 2 different colors of the harbor here with the torn edge, which I think kind of goes with that sort of doughy look of things that are happening here in the photos. We've got our lovely stickers. We've got our canister and our jug for our water and our flour. And then we've got our hidden journaling made just by leaving the edges unadhered and then using that sticker with a little bit of foam tape to pop it in there. The other thing that I like about this is I like to use top-loading scrapbook pages, memory protectors, and so I can just have this available right at the top. And so if I want to see or share that hidden journaling, I can just pull it right through the top, the opening of the memory protector. So double and triple duty happening there. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this layout come together and feel inspired to create one of your own. And if you do, be sure to take a photo and pop it in the comments when I post this layout. And let me share with you where I got my inspiration from for this layout, because some of you may say, that looks a little familiar. So in the November-December catalog from 2021, there, pardon me, there was a layout, and this is why you should keep your catalogs. And here it is. It was for this stamp set, but look, that is the layout that we just created with the more newer paper collection. I'm all tongue-tied right now. So with our Good Life. So this was using all different kinds of cardstocks and stamping and pattern papers and zip strips. And here we have recreated it with completely different papers. And so keep track of those catalogs, or be sure to tear out or take photos of the layouts that you love and keep track of them, because you never know when you might want to use them. All right, a little extra tip there for you. Have a wonderful evening and a great week ahead, and we will see you again soon. Toodaloo!